and we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna go through the day as normal. If you have a pass, you can go try. But if it does not work, please go back to wherever it was you came from. So if you have a pass for lunch, and you go to one of the pods and you can't get on the computer, don't just wander. That's not a pass for you to wander around the halls and just sit in the pods and play games or something. That means if it's not working, you're there for to work on a project. If it's not working and you can't work on your project, go back to lunch. Okay? I will talk to the lunchroom people. I'm gonna send out an email about that. So they will know that if you are out at the pod and you're trying to work on it and it doesn't work, you need to be going back to lunch. Yes, sir.
Wait, isn't the pods in there, or is it out here?
There's the ones here or out there.
I mean, like in that other state. Can we use those?
You can try, but if the computers here aren't working and my computers aren't working, it's all on the same network. None of them are working. In fact, I know that they're having problems with it right now because they're supposed to be doing map testing. So Ms. Camposano is trying to figure out how they're going to do map testing when the internet's not working. Yes. You can try, but I don't think it's gonna. What I would suggest that you do is, especially if you have a pass for a TSI, I would ask your teacher that you have in TSI if their computer is working before you go anywhere. If their computer's not working, they can't log on and take attendance, then there's no point in you going to work because you're not going to be able to work either. Okay. Now, if the internet does come back up and is working at some point in time, and I did not write you a pass yet, you can check. You can go back and check with me, and I'll write you a pass. Or just talk to your teachers. I'll include that in the email that I send out. So we'll reevaluate. Otherwise, try and work on it. If you can't work on it today, try and work on it at home. We will have part of the day in the lab tomorrow. And we'll discuss further plans and or changes tomorrow. But I'm not making any changes to the deadline today. Not yet. Not yet. I don't know how bad it is yet. It's still too early in the morning. I'm not making any changes yet.
I gotta get this on the flash drive. I gotta get it on the flash drive.
It's not in the flash. That's a flash drive right there. Yeah. Where is the project already?
It's on the computer.
That's on your student file? Yeah, you're not gonna be able to get it, sir. Not right now, not until the computer back in. Once the network's up and working, especially if you have your file saved on one of those, or on the student files, you're not going to be able to pull it off of the student file until the network's back up. Or you will, but it'll take you an hour to do it. Alright? Any other questions about the project and due date tomorrow? Like I said, I'm not changing the due date yet. Because I don't know, they could have this fixed in 35 minutes and you guys can get stuff done throughout the rest of the day. Right? If they have it, they could have it done by a second period, and you guys get stuff done. But I'm not changing anything just yet. Yes. By the end of class on Friday.
That's tomorrow. How will we be able to know if they're working?
You'll know. I mean, if you have a pass, like, especially if you're trying to go during TSI or during lunch, just check with one of the teachers. Just ask one of the teachers, and they'll tell you.
But what if you don't have a pass?
If you don't have a pass, I'm going to send an email out saying that if anybody who has my class, they're working on a project and computers are up and running, they can go do that. So as long as they can get on my email and send that out, they should be able to read it. Interestingly enough, the wired network is not working, but my wireless is working, so I can get on the wireless and work just fine. So we are live streaming right now, and I will be sending a couple emails out. Yes.
Wait, so since you're saying the end of tomorrow, are you saying that we're going to work in the lunchtime?
Yeah, that's been the plan the whole time. We're working in the library. Tomorrow we're gonna be in the lab. We'll leave immediately from homeroom and go straight there. And we'll meet we'll go in the lab. You will have time in the lab to work on your project for the last 10, maybe 15 minutes of the lab time. I'm gonna stop everybody and show everybody how to turn their paper in. Okay, so you can know exactly how to turn it into the right spot. All right? Yes.
What if they sit after my lunch period and right on the computer?
Then we'll have to work on it. We'll see what tomorrow's like. We'll see. I'm not. There's a billion what ifs out there. I can't answer all of them right now because I don't know what's going to be. So we'll see what happens. They can fix it. Like I said, they've been aware of the problem and working on it since 7 this morning. So they've been working on it. I've been aware of the problem since 6:15 is. So, they've been aware of it since 7. Any other questions about the project so we can move on to what we were going to do? Alright, okay, everybody just remembers our really awesome activity that we did yesterday. And I have a couple of questions for you guys about that activity before we get started on the next level of that activity, and then before we move on to the next section of our reading. I'm trying to remember which questions I asked you guys. I think I asked you guys already. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard did we say the first step was? A 10. It was pretty hard, right? Very difficult. What about the second step? Did anybody, even in the second step, when you guys were allowed to, you could talk, you could use written communication, was anybody able to, in that like 4 minutes, learn all 5 steps, all 5 tasks, like with perfect detail? Anybody get all 5? Anybody get 4 out of 5? Anybody get 3 out of 5? Got a couple 3 out of 5s? Anybody get 2? At least 2? Alright, good. We should get a lot more of at least 2s. Alright. So it was a lot harder, as you can see, even with just, it was really hard to get a lot of detail. Did anybody find out after doing it the second way that what they thought that they learned and mastered the first time was totally wrong from what it was, from what it actually was? Anybody find out that what they first thought they learned, by the second time it was totally wrong?
Yeah.
Totally wrong, yeah.
Like going like this, her I like climbing up the mountain. She said she got it, and then she told me afterwards she thought she was climbing up a water slide and going down.
So, right, exactly. Some of it was, it was kind of
You're
confusing.
shaking a water bottle.
Find water.
Drink. I thought it was a water slide.
It's very difficult to communicate, to accurately communicate details when you can't communicate. Mr. Johnson looked at me at one of the tasks, especially the finding water one, and he's like, how in the world do you expect them to communicate these things? He's like, the only way you could communicate this would be to like just take somebody by the hand and show them all the things that they have to do. I was like, exactly. I was like, you couldn't just sit in a classroom and communicate like we do right now and teach someone. You'd actually have to, if I wanted to teach you guys how to write, I would almost have to sit with you and move your hand on the page to show you how to do it. If I wanted to show you how to, how many of you guys have industrial arts? How many of you guys have industrial arts? Alright, or industrial tech. Yes, industrial tech. I know Miss Steele, when she teaches that,
It's industrial ed.
does she just kind of, or tech or ed or arts or whatever it's called, the whole field is called arts, but whatever. If you, when she tells you how to do something, does she come over with just like one student and work with just one student showing that one how to do it, and then goes on to the next one and shows the next student how to do it? No, she tells everybody in the room how to do it, right? Or at least shows or demonstrates for everybody all at once. But before we had the ability to communicate and talk like we do, you would have, if you wanted to teach someone how to do something, you had to do it one-on-one. In fact, even long after we developed communication, most things were still taught one-on-one. Most trades, most of jobs were taught one-on-one. You would have a master and apprentice, just like in Star Wars. You would have a master and an apprentice. And the master would teach the apprentice how to do something. And then eventually the apprentice would become a master, and he would go off and he would pick up an apprentice, and he would teach that apprentice how to do something. And that's how people were taught. In fact, it was the same way in schools for a long time. You would have maybe one master and possibly 3 to 4 students. No more than that, because it was too much for one teacher to handle. And they would work individually with students and teach them on things. Did you know that in original universities, your final exam, the way that term comes up, the final exam, was literally a final exam. You went through 4 years of college without taking a single test. You didn't take a single test. 4 years. The very end of your 4 years, right before you got your degree, you took one test on everything that you learned for 4 years.
Is that big?
One test for everything. That was why it was called a final exam.
was it
Because it was
like-
the exam of everything you've learned.
Is it still like
No.
that?
No. But that's where the term comes from. Yes, sir.
Even at nighttime, it was squires and two.
Yeah. So you become a squire and so that you can learn how to eventually become a knight. And that's the way most trades work. And that's the way that people taught things, just one person to another. Now we teach one person to a whole group of people because we have mastered the ability to communicate on large scales. And you guys can learn a lot of things at once. And so that's what I tried to have you guys do. You tried to teach everybody, as many people as you could at once. Right? So now we're going to take it out. So we've talked about what it was like when we had no communication whatsoever. And then we moved it up to what now we had communication, but we were learning on really just a master apprentice level still, where we still had to communicate just one person to one person. So I'm going to take it up to I'm going to show you the difference between then and now, the modern age, and how we do things now. So I need my 5 masters back up. So it's running. Our last one. And everybody take out a piece of paper.
No, that's not fair.
Everybody take out a piece of paper. 5 masters to the front of the room.
Well, masters, do you think about piece of paper?
Yeah, the masters are going to need a piece of paper too.
Why? Yeah, now it's fair.
Alright, I gotta remember. Yeah, you're gonna need a piece of paper and something to write with. I need to find my pieces. Because now we live in an age where people can communicate a small piece of information to a large group of people.
You have boots on. Like, are those cowgirl boots?
I don't know.
I never knew you knew that word.
Okay. Alright, so this is what we're gonna do. Now, in our new modern age, our new age of information, we call this the age of information. Why? Because we can share information on such a global scale. I can log on to Facebook to sign form. It says to sign form. I can log on to Facebook right now, scroll through my wall posts, and I can pick up probably 35 recipes for food in a matter of 15 minutes. I can pick up probably 4 or 5 news articles about things that I didn't know about in different communities that I don't even live in. I can learn what's going on in different people's families immediately. We can learn all this information immediately. So now we can all become masters of a bunch of different things. I built this tree using ideas I saw on Pinterest and YouTube, right? So it's all over the place. So, all right, let's see here. I'm gonna pass up my fire.
Oh my god, they remember that show, The Airbender?
The Last Airbender.
The Last Airbender, you know why?
Avatar.
Zuko was the cute guy in that commercial.
There you go. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. In order, now that we can communicate these things openly, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna share these ideas. So what I want you to do is I'm gonna have one master at a time read off their skill and exactly how to do it. And then I want you guys to write them down so you know how to do all the skills.
I wrote 2.
As much of it as you can. I know it's gonna be hard to do. All right, so let's see here. Where do we want? Stefano, we'll start with you. Go ahead and tell us what skill it was you had, and then read to us the description of how to do it. You don't have to copy down the description word for word, but I want you to try and get it.
I had fire. So make a pile of small sticks plus dry grass. Wait. Slow down.
All right, just
Pile, small sticks.
Small sticks and what?
you guys, like I said, you don't have to copy it down. Guys, you don't have to copy it down word for word. Just kind of get the rough idea.
Dry grass.
Oh, guys, once again, you do not have to copy it down word for word.
Okay.
Use a dark rock and a light rock. Strike them together to make a spot. Try to get spots on dry grass. when it smokes, no water, and no water.
For those of you who learned fire in the first practice, is that exactly how you guys learned how to do it?
No.
No, right?
Always
works.
Was there parts of it that you learned how to do?
Yeah.
Which parts did you learn how to do? Kenna, what part did you learn how to do?
The sticks, the grass. And
What was it?
The sticks, the grass, and the rocks.
Sticks and grass and then rocks, right? Sticks and grass and rocks. But if you didn't get the details, like dry grass, dark rock and a light rock, you could stand there with like 2 red rocks and some wet grass, wet grass, you're never gonna make fire. But you don't know the difference, right? That's where the details of our communication now come in key. Okay, Anthony.
Wait, not done. Hold on.
Guys, I told you you don't have to copy down perfectly.
I know, but I didn't have. Wait, what was that?
Wait, what do you
Besides
have?
rocks on grass?
And
then
what you think?
Hey, what's your What's your paint for caves? Paint for caves.
Wait, what is it?
Paint.
I don't remember.
Paint for caves. Paints for caves.
All right,
Paint for caves.
I'm gonna change the directions. Everybody put your pencils and pencils down. Stop writing them down. This is taking too long to write them down.
Yay.
All right, guys, just go ahead and read them. Put your presentation down. Yay. Don't throw them away, just you might use them for something else. Stop picking up something. All right. Anthony, go ahead.
Paint for caves. First, how to make purple. Take purple petals from flowers in the field. Crush and mix the spit. Use quickly. How to make red. Use red berries from near the swamp. Crush and mix the sand. Last one. How to make black. Use ash and mix with clean water. Mix a mess, so be careful.
Great. How many got any of that part from the demonstration when you were first learning without communication from Anthony? You got parts of it, right? Did anybody know all 3 colors immediately? What 3 colors they were? You knew the colors? I thought it was really interesting watching a couple different people do this, for them to try and teach how to mix with spit. That was, people were having a hard time figuring out what in the world they were doing. Alright. Okay, our next one, hunting mammoths.
Okay. Watch her. Too slow, small, or weak one. Avoid sick mammoth and child of herd litter. Have a small group of men drive or chase mammoth towards their rocket with fire and sticks. Oh. Attack from on top of the rocks with 50 sticks. Beware of tusks and legs. Very dangerous. Leave some behind for wolves and cats.
Did anybody get the last part in there? I put that last part, leave some behind for wolves and cats. When you saw the original demonstration, you got that you need to leave some of the meat behind for wolves and cats. Do you know why you would want to do that? Zach, why?
I want to try to eat you.
Yeah, you don't want them to try and follow you. If you leave some behind for them, they're not going to try. They're going to smell it, and they're going to go to that. They're not going to try and track you down. So you want to leave some behind. So a smart hunter realizes that and adds that into the plan. All right, Courtney, what do you have? I know it's not going down a water slide, but what is it? Do you have?
Clean water.
How to find clean water.
So you go up the mountain along the 3rd path from the cave, 275 steps up, turn right at the face-shaped rock, under the hanging trees and ice-cold streams, very clean.
Did anybody get the 275 steps up?
Lauren did.
Lauren got the 275
Yeah, because
steps?
you actually wrote it on the paper.
You wrote it down?
No, but I actually worked with Lauren individually, and then when everyone else came, I kind of was like, up the mountain.
Okay. So it was easier to communicate some of the little details when you were working with one person in one-on-one person, right? That was the one detail that Mr. Johnson was like, how in the world are they supposed to communicate this without words? And I was like, that's up to them to figure out.
Well, how would you do it?
I would take them out and show them.
Oh, would you now?
Why are you not?
I tried to close the chairs.
All right, Kayla, our last one.
Medicine for cuts. In the woods near the swamp are some red berry bushes. Take 8 berries in the field are some yellow and black flowers. Take only the petals. In the woods near the field are some large trees. Take some large green leaves, some mixed berries and petals, place uncut, cover with leaves.
Now those are very specific directions, because if anybody knows anything about making medicine, if you pick the wrong berries, or you pick the wrong petals, or you get more than just the petals, you can make something that's poisonous and not helpful. So those are very specific directions that need to be followed. Alright, so now, alright, that's good enough. Now, everybody in the room now knows how to do all 5 tasks, right? If I asked you to go out and do one of these 5 tasks, everybody could do it, right? Besides hunting a mammoth.
It's an hunting one.
So we could, now we have, because this is where we are at now. So we have now gone in the period of a day and a half, we have run the course of communication in the world. We started out with none. We started out with no language, no real way to communicate with one another. And we noticed how slow learning was, right? It was very slow, very hard, which is why it took a long time for civilizations to develop. Once we had language, we were able to spread knowledge faster. And we could learn faster, but still not extremely fast. And it was still limited to, you had to be in and around or near a master of a particular thing in order to learn how to do it. Now, we moved into an age where we can just, anybody can say anything. I could probably go on YouTube right now and learn how to make a sword, if I wanted to. You can go on, I learned all kinds of fun stuff on YouTube. I learned how to hook up wireless networks and reroute cables and stuff I never dreamed I would ever know just by sitting on YouTube. And there's all kinds of fun things out there that you can learn how to do. And that knowledge is available to everyone, okay? So, since we have a knowledge available to everyone, let's gain some more knowledge. All right, Doris, please go get your textbooks. A day where we don't do anything?
Yay!
That's called Saturday and Sunday.
That's true, we can do something on Saturday. It's like a one-day weekend.
Money!
Money is here.
Give me the money.
Yeah, I know because it's a school.
All right, Tree, please go to your textbooks. Yes, sir.
I don't know.
I'm not watching YouTube.
Dude, he was literally bald with a ponytail in the back.
Yeah, you have to be careful with which one you're. I normally attempt to. I try and watch about 3 or 4 videos on a subject before I finally decide to do one. Windows, please go to your textbooks.
Oh, great.
All right. All right. Please. Today we're going to talk about. We talked a little bit about how we started out as a hunter and gatherer society. That's how our ancestors first survived. They were hunters and gatherers. That's how they got food. That's how they survived. They had to roam around. They had to migrate constantly to find food, right? And as they did, they started discovering things about the different terrain around them. And so we're going to talk about early human migration and how they migrated from place to place and why they would do that and what kinds of things they learned. Okay? So we're going to start, that's what we're going to talk about today. Tomorrow, well, not tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be left. So possibly Monday or Tuesday we're going to talk about the early forms of agriculture, which will get us into our first civilizations. then we start talking about civilizations. I am looking at on purpose. So, we're gonna start talking about that today. I do want to, which should mean if we finish up talking about chapter 3 of this, or lesson 3, on Monday or Tuesday, we should have all of our first set of keywords, and we'll have a little keyword quiz on probably Wednesday of next week. So I'm gonna put that into the schedule. Wednesday of next week, plan on a keyword quiz, and then we will move on. It'll be our first quiz, and then we will be moving on. Okay. All right. So you guys have section 2 in chapter 1, which is page 36. Early human migration. Please read through. Make sure you get any keywords in there. I'm going to try over the weekend to work on developing more of a. I know a number of you guys asked for a study guide. I'm going to try and put together more of a study guide format for the next unit that we do. That kind of helps.
Dude, look at page 35.
Huh?
Look at page 35.
There's going to be a key term quiz on Wednesday. I'll see if I can make it more of a test.
That's nasty.
Yeah, go ahead.
Person, how mean.
Get to work.
He's missing his legs.
Let's go. Let's get to work. Page 36. We're going to read through. Looking for your key. Pay attention to your keywords on page 30, 36 on
His legs.
More than 100 years. He's from the Ice Age. It says about 5,300 years ago. You should read it in advance.
That's what my mom says.
Get to work. I'm going to try and take attendance.
Do we write the key terms down?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, right. You are writing the key terms down. I thought I already said that. Writing the key terms down, along with the definitions. Enrique, you're reading, not talking. Hey, real quickly, I don't know if you guys knew this, the Wi-Fi is working. Yeah, because I'm on my laptop. You still can't just like read, people. You still can't get like the e-school or anything like that, but at least you can get like you have to maybe do stuff. The Wi-Fi is working because my laptop's on. Okay. All right, and then what are we doing about that? Yeah, I'm gonna. Yep, yes.
I say just rewrite these freezing times.
No, I just wrote these reading times are called Ice Ages and then underline it.
Yeah, I would just go with that. Yeah.
I was going to English
Sounds about the same. to me. Are you guys finished reading? Okay, so we started talking about it. We talked about earlier the other day that the first known humans were, or modern humans, were found in Africa. And did we stay there very long? No. Where did we start moving to? Where did we start moving? Europe. We started moving up into Europe. Which, since is Africa like directly connected to Europe? No. So we had to go through other areas, right? We had to start spreading out, going through. If you look at the map there, and it shows that we started down in the middle of Europe. You see on the map there on page 37. The map on page 37 shows early humans. There's a little arrow right in the middle of Africa is where they think that they first started originating, or we first started finding at least their remains. 80. Oh, I'm sorry, 37. I'm so sorry. I read that wrong. 37. I said 37? Oh, I thought somebody just said 87. Oh, okay. 37. Page 37. All right. So we started moving out of Central Africa. We started moving up. We started moving north. We started moving into Northern Africa. And if you see, if you notice where we first started moving, we started moving up into Northern Africa. Does anybody know what major civilization is in that area in Northern Africa we first started moving into?
Ice Age.
Not Ice Age. Ice Age was a time period. There's a modern or a major civilization that was in that, an ancient civilization, a major civilization that was in that area. Vera. Egypt. They're moving right along the Nile almost. They're moving almost straight up the Nile River into the fertile Nile Valley, which is where Egypt started. And as they move out, they spread in one of two directions. They either continue west into Western Africa, Northwestern Africa, along the edges of the Sahara. Now remember what I told you guys earlier that at one point in time the Sahara wasn't fully a desert, that they have found dried up riverbeds there. So they probably followed those rivers, followed the paths of the water. They have found civilizations out there. They have found ruins of civilization in the middle of the Sahara Desert. There are buildings built out there, or stone buildings, towns and cities built out there that have been long since destroyed and abandoned. So we can see that they were starting to move along those rivers, and they moved out west. They also moved into, well, they started, before they moved into Europe, they moved up a little bit into what is now the Arabian Peninsula, also known as Mesopotamia, which is where we have another one of the early civilizations. Mesopotamia was another one of our early civilizations. And then they start moving into Europe. From there, we see groups of people moving across Asia, into different parts of Asia through the Indus Valley, where we have another one of our larger civilizations. And then they start reaching the Pacific Ocean and all the little islands out there in the south. They start sailing around. They start building ships and sailing around and checking things out. Move into Australia. Start working things and living in Australia, surviving in Australia. We see people going over the land bridge in Alaska, going over into what is now the Americas. Now, some people believe that as these people were moving across the northern part, that there were other people who were from Australia and the different Pacific islands around there, that they started sailing west also. They built great ships and they started sailing west. And they eventually discovered the southern United States, or not the southern United States, but southern America, South America. And they started setting up settlements there in areas that other northern kinds hadn't gotten down to yet. So you see this big expansion. Why were they doing this? Why did they start moving everywhere? Why did they start migrating everywhere? Can anybody tell me? Anybody remember from the reading to talk about why they started doing this? Kendall? Because of the climate, because of the ice age, forced people to move, right? And then as the ice age started receding, it opened up more area for people to go, places for people to go. What happens to water when it turns to ice? Yeah. What happens to it? It freezes. When it turns to ice, it freezes. Can you walk on water when it's not? Like when it's in water state? When it's in a liquid state, can you walk on it?
No.
No. Can you walk on it when it's ice? If it's hard, right? If it's hard enough, you can. If it's hard enough, you can. Imagine if you were stuck in a place. Let's say you were stuck on an island. You're stuck on an island in the middle of a gigantic lake. And you were stuck there for a really long time. And there was civilization, there was someplace good that you could get to, where there was like food, and stuff just on the banks of the lake, but you couldn't get there. If it all of a sudden became cold and that lake froze, would you still be trapped? No, you could try and walk across the ice and get to where you were going.
What did you fall?
You may fall and break the ice, but if we were to take this whole class, and we all started walking across the ice,
John would go first.
I wouldn't. You would.
I would. I'm alive.
if we all started walking across the ice at the same time, and let's say we all formed like one long straight line, right? If we all formed one long straight line and we got to a certain spot in the ice and Enrique fell through, we'd change our direction.
Dude,
Right, we're all- okay, well, we're not going that way.
they're dying. Yep.
Right? We don't look at a little Enrique popsicle floating along. We say, bye, Enrique. We keep walking. All right. More on this tomorrow, and we're gonna read the last section tomorrow.
I'll go my own way. I'll leave
Tell my mother.
I hope everybody, computers are still not up yet, but I hope they get up soon so you guys can work. Have a wonderful day. Huh? If the computers are still not working, no. I'm gonna try and send out an email to everybody saying that if you guys are free to go, if the computers are up.